Your brand may be staying on top of current trends, but are you agile enough to stay relevant, resilient, and successful as customers, competition, and the world continues to change at a breakneck pace? I'm thrilled to share the newly revised version of my first book, The Agile Brand. I'm calling it The Agile Brand Revisited. It's been updated to reflect our continually changing world, and it provides 7 principles that form the backbone of an agile brand, offering detailed insights and actionable steps for incorporating them into your business strategy. This is the book that started it all, and I'm excited to share it with you. It's now available in print and digital formats and available everywhere. Learn more by going to the Agile Brand Guide website at www.agilebrandguide.com. Welcome to Season 5 of The Agile Brand with Greg Kihlstrom, where we talk with enterprise and technology platform leaders about the people, processes, and platforms that make marketing and customer experience successful, scalable, and sustainable. This is what creates an agile brand. I'm your host, Greg Kihlstrom, advisor and consultant for Fortune 1000 marketing and CX leaders and teams as principal and chief strategist at GK5A, and best-selling author, keynote speaker, entrepreneur, and agile certified coach. The Agile Brand podcast is brought to you by TEKsystems, an industry leader in full-stack technology services, talent services, and real-world application. For more information, go to teksystems.com. To sign up for the Agile Brand newsletter and get the latest insights and articles on marketing technology and CX, or to purchase a copy of my latest book, House of the Customer, go to gregkihlstrom.com. You can also find all my books on Amazon and other retailers. And now on to the show. The customer experience continues to be a key point of competition among brands today, and those that can provide more personalized content, offers, and overall experiences are pulling ahead. But businesses cannot close the digital experience gap and meet their customers' expectations if they don't have a thorough understanding of how customers are navigating their digital platforms. Today, we're going to talk about how marketers should be thinking about utilizing AI in marketing and/or CX in the months ahead. To help me discuss this topic, I'd like to welcome Asim Zaheer, Chief Marketing Officer at Glassbox. Asim, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Greg. I really enjoy the opportunity to chat with you. Thanks.
Yeah, looking forward to this. So why don't we start with you giving a little background on yourself as well as what you're currently doing at Glassbox.
So I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at Glassbox, and we're a digital experience analytics company. And so our goal is to help customers provide what we say are frictionless digital experiences to their customers. Myself, I've got 20 plus years of experience working in tech. I've done very early stage startups to running marketing for large multinational conglomerates as well. I've been involved in software, hardware, and everything in between, and basically just really enjoy bringing innovative technology to the market.
Wonderful. Well, yeah, let's get started then. So let's first start by talking about how a brand can implement an AI-driven digital experience analytics platform that enables businesses to proactively identify and resolve problems surfaced through customer feedback and interactions data. So how can AI-driven digital experience analytics help brands measure and optimize the quality, performance, and the impact of their digital experiences across these multiple channels and touch points?
Yeah, good question. Obviously, AI is pretty hot topic these days.
Yeah, right.
Put it mildly. It's all about learning, right? And so all AI engines are really based upon their ability to quickly absorb and learn from data. And so if you are able to collect, first of all, as much information as you can to help better understand your users' experiences, and that data relates to all of their interactions and touch points with you throughout the various channels that you might be using to go to market, you can then aggregate that data that you are receiving based on their interactions across these different touch points, learn from it, understand where the struggles are, right? And then implement change and optimize that experience going forward. And so AI can take all of that information, all of that data and learn from it and understand and derive insights. And therefore you can modify your interactions with your customers, whatever your business might be, and address where they might be struggling. And you can also learn where they might be succeeding and be able to apply that in other areas of your digital interactions, really where I focus my time as well. And so that's really AI working, in the background, behind the scenes to implement positive experiences. But obviously AI can also be used to interact with, users and clients as well.
Yeah, so a lot of people listening to the show, they're marketers. They certainly have experience with analytics platforms and things like that. But what are some of you mentioned AI and as a component of it, but what are some of the like features and capabilities that brands should be looking for from an AI driven experience analytics platform?
Yeah, I think one of the big things that you want to do is you want to really understand the complete journey that a user, prospective client, prospective customer might be having with you across your brand. Not and I mean not simply just one touch point. Hey, they failed to log
Yeah,
into your site or unable to transact something that they put in the shopping cart, but be able to understand the entire journey. How did they navigate there? Did they try to learn about you or engage with you in a different venue first? Did they try their mobile app or did they go to the web first? So being able to really see the entire customer journey is one capability that's extremely important if you want to optimize and improve customer experience, because then you can identify where the struggles are. You can identify where the friction points really are. And so the other thing you can also do is measure the impact of what those struggles might be. And so
Mm,
there are very sophisticated tools, and you also leverage machine learning and AI to be able to calculate, hey, based on what users struggles in this element of the buying process, that translates to X amount of lost revenue.
yeah, yeah,
Or you could also, and there are tools that can do this. And actually, in fact, Glassbox does this as well, which is help you even translate that to what sort of impact that might be having on your NPS score as well.
mm, yeah. And so to build on that, then, so you're getting these insights, and my assumption is that the AI is helping everything learn as well, and kind of grow, be able to develop more sophisticated recommendations and stuff. What does a brand do with that? So they're able to see these things. They're getting information. They know what works, what doesn't. What can you give some examples of? How does a brand turn those analytics into content or other things like that?
Yeah, sure. Well, one of the key things too that a lot of people talk about is personalization. And so
Yeah,
being able to, first of all, design your experience based on hundreds and thousands of interactions versus a singular interaction can probably lead to better results. And so being able to analyze those thousands of interactions and find where there's commonality in
yeah,
terms of what people are looking for, what people are trying to do, is where you're going to have greater impact. And then based on that, and you can determine, okay, at this point in the journey, let's not ask people, for example, to create an account if they want to
right,
explore our site further. At this point in the journey, let's share, a certain piece of information around perhaps our usage terms, perhaps what promotional programs we have going on. Let's inject them at this point in the process versus maybe earlier in the process. Those kinds of decisions can be driven based on learning from all those thousands and thousands of interactions, and that can only be done right through software and through learning. And so in those ways you can present content, offers, information, ask a user to do something or not do something at the right point in the process based on what the data tells you. The data might tell you, hey, if you ask people to, if they're trying to purchase something on your site and you ask them to create an account in order to go further, proceed further, they're probably going to drop off your site right at that
Yeah.
point. In fact, in reality, that is a common one.
Right, right. Well, and I also think, I also think what you're saying about looking at analytics across the journey, that's a really important part as well. Because, if you're looking at a single dimension on a single channel and just saying like, do they or don't they do this, you're looking at only one part of the puzzle, right? As opposed to, what if we changed the placement of something or used a different channel and able to kind of look across those things? Would you say that's correct?
That's correct. And also it varies by channel as well.
Yeah.
A lot of people interact, using this is actually generational. What the data will tell you, older folks are more accustomed to using web browsers
Right.
for most things that they need to do, be it shopping and or travel, buy airline tickets or hotel reservations, to shopping on Amazon. Younger folks prefer mobile apps, and so the experience, is different on both. The way in which you navigate, the way in which information is presented, the ability to transact, the amount of data you can actually consume as a user varies by channel.
Yeah.
And so you need to tailor that. Obviously, in a mobile device, you're not going to try to hit them with too much text and too much information because it's hard to consume on a small device. So those things also do come into play. But in terms of correlating, you can do that. We have the technology today that says, hey, so and so tried first to engage with us, and let's just make something up. Try to reserve a hotel room on the mobile app, and it didn't work out. And then they went to the website,
Right.
and then they did it there. Let's understand why they abandoned the mobile in the first place.
Before we continue, I want to tell you about the upcoming AI4 2023 conference, August 7 through 9 in Las Vegas at the MGM Grand. AI4 2023 brings together business leaders and data practitioners to facilitate the responsible adoption of artificial intelligence and machine learning technology. The conference features leaders from brands like Amazon, JP Morgan Chase, CVS, Estee Lauder Companies, UPS, New York Life Insurance, United Healthcare, and many more. While it's not specifically for marketers and CX professionals, there are plenty of topics both directly and indirectly related to the work you do every day. To learn more and register for the conference, go to ai4.io/USA/register. That's ai4.io/USA/register. And you can register with the code AgileBrand for 15% off your registration. That's AgileBrand, all one word. I'm excited to hear from this amazing lineup of speakers and thought leaders and hope to see you in Las Vegas. Make sure to register at ai4.io/USA/register with the code AgileBrand for 15% off your registration. Now let's get back to the show. So, next topic I wanted to talk about is related to self-service. So, how brands can prioritize self-service models. So, I know personally I will do just about anything to not have to pick up the phone and call a company to do anything. I'd prefer to do it myself. And, so that means incorporating chatbots, dynamic FAQs, semantic search, all
Yep.
of the above. So first question for you, how can brands really design and optimize their self-service channels to provide what I described, to provide that easy, frictionless, and convenient access to information and solutions?
Yeah. Self-service is definitely the name of the game these days. It's interesting, however, like some people, they're desperate to talk to a human being.
Right. Yeah, I'm not everyone, I realize. So yeah, yeah.
Sometimes you just really need to talk to somebody.
Right,
However, we are so conditioned now for self-service.
right.
It's faster, right? And you can get to an answer hopefully quicker. And so people demand it, and it has to be good. It has to be high quality, or else, switching costs are so easy, they will not, engage with you again. So, yeah, the way in which you can, leverage technology in service of this or in support of this is really provide users. I mean, I won't get into UI design and all that kind of stuff. You obviously have to have a simple and easy and intuitive way to allow them to engage and provide, those mechanisms. But in terms of the underlying technology, you need to be able to provide answers quickly. And, one of the keys is not to just have a rote set of responses, standard responses. Somebody's looking for something, or they don't know how to reach customer service, or I don't know how to renew my insurance, all those kinds of things. It needs to be interactive in some way. And so that's where AI, and tools like ChatGPT can come into play. You can use them to layer on top of your data set of all the customers that you have and all the learnings that it's been able to derive, and give customized answers. And so companies are starting to do that. We actually are using AI and AI interface, ChatGPT in particular, to allow our customers to use our platform to get answers from all of their customers. And so, it could be like a major airline, for example, that can use ChatGPT on top of Glassbox to say, hey, how many, hundreds of users, or how many users abandoned, the ticket purchase, in the final stage in the last 6 months.
Yeah.
It can do that for you. And so that's like, people try to mine the information behind the scenes to improve, but you can put that on top too. And you can give users a window to query, the company as well. And I think that's where we've arrived now, which is I need a customized, very specific answer to my need.
Yeah. Yeah, and that, I mean, to me that seems like a really good use of Chat GPT. I mean, I think on the other end of that would be generating content, from GPT or something like that for customers. But I mean, do you think I mean, where do you see that in the time horizon? I mean, I know there is generative AI being used and stuff like that, but there's still a lot of concerns. There's, brand safety, and there's copyright, and, all of those kinds
Yeah.
of things. Where do you see, or when do you see generative AI being sort of more customer facing versus, again, it's sort of what you're describing sounds smart to me, because it's sort of within the safety of their own data, and it's not
Yeah.
it's not getting directly broadcast to a customer, right?
Yep. Yeah, I think so. In fact, I was just reading an article the other day that was talking about how you can recognize AI generated content
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
as a user. Look, here are the warning signs.
Yeah.
It's it's an interesting topic. I think you can do it, right? You can ask, an AI tool to write a piece of content for you on a specific topic based on everything that you've, presented to it to learn from.
Yeah.
I think that, what we have to be careful of is we can't lose sight of all the editors and content marketers out there,
Yeah.
because you still need to have some editorial control and oversight over what you're going to publish, because it's been proven at this point that there could be some errors in there. There could be misinterpretation,
Yeah.
right? And
Right.
then these could have ramifications for a company in terms of what they put out there in the public domain. And so I would say it can maybe be used to speed the process of content generation. And certainly AI and generative AI is very powerful in its ability to consume loads more information than a human being could.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you cannot lose sight of the fact that there needs to be human involvement to review, edit, and maybe even fine tune it before it hits the public domain.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. So let's last topic I wanted to cover here goes back a little bit to what we were talking about at the beginning, and just talking about creating individualized experiences for every customer. There's lots of stats out there that point to customers wanting this, these personalized interactions. They want to feel like the brands that they support get them, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
And even more so, 76%, according to some recent research, they're frustrated when they don't receive, so in other words, there's an expectation that they're going to receive it, and there's frustration when they don't receive personalized interactions. So with the channel switching that we talked about, there could be, it could be a generational preference, but there's also, the same person may be using as many as 5 or 6 different channels during
Yeah.
the buying process, which is not unheard of these days. I think
Yep.
10, 15 years ago, it might have been 2 or 3 at most. Now it's 5 or 6 out of, I think, like a total of 15 or so potential that they might use. What are some best practices, and what do you recommend for brands to deliver a seamless experience knowing that this channel switching is going on?
Yeah, I mean, first things first, you need to be able to connect the dots. And so
Yeah.
if they're engaging across multiple channels, you need to be able to collect, information around that interaction and compare it to all the other touch points and other channel engagements that that person may have had with you. And so aggregating all of the touch points and then analyzing it to see what really went on here. Maybe they tried to engage with you through your customer support portal. Then maybe they tried to actually call you. Then they actually went on your website and used maybe the chat bot. All of that you have to have that complete picture to see really what's failing and what's working for you as a company. And so collecting all of that information, then you can look and correlate and see what's happening, not only on one individual, but like I said earlier, like thousands and thousands. So you can really understand trends
Yeah.
and issues. And so the ability to collect and aggregate across channels is like fundamental.
Yeah.
Then you can learn from that. I'll give you an example. We had a customer last year who was seeing a really big spike in support calls about their mobile app at a particular point in time, and it was quite a few number of users. And what we were able to determine is that we aligned the timing of these calls with all of the user sessions that took place on their mobile app in that same period to see what was happening. And so what we found is there was a login issue. There was the way their app was designed, it was difficult for people to actually see the login button.
Mm.
And so as mundane or as simple as that might be, it was turning into a customer support crisis. And so the only way we were able to do that is to see all the different channels at once and see, what was happening and be able to, root cause analyze, what the source of it was. So yeah, you need to be able to collect information and aggregate it across everything and have a singular database for all your customers. Then you can mine it. You can throw AI on top of it, learn from it, all those kinds of things.
Yeah. Yeah.
And one of the other things that's interesting is that, and this is what I think is another potential best practice, is voice of the customer is another really popular concept.
Yeah.
Surveying customers each time they engage with you, even if it's like one question, 3 simple questions, it's valuable information that companies are collecting all the time to improve. Well, one of the concepts that we like to talk about, where I am, is what we call voice of the silent. And
Mm.
so you might have one customer get feedback about something, but you're going to have thousands who didn't give you any feedback.
Right.
And
Right.
so if you are able to capture all the interactions that are happening, take that one piece of feedback and check to see, is this occurring for more than one person? Is it occurring for thousands? Is it like just a couple hundred?
Yeah.
You can then give voice to those, hundreds or thousands of people who chose to remain silent. That one person chose to surface. And so you can use
Yeah.
AI to kind of pull that out as well and find, where the struggles were, perhaps, in a journey. So these are the kinds of things that are absolutely possible today.
Yeah. Yeah. And I really like that last example, because, I could probably do a whole other show and talk about the value of surveys and all of those kinds of things. But, I think one of the big challenges is that surveys are also lagging indicators, and what you're doing are leading indicators, and I think both need to coexist. There is certainly value in sending surveys, although I think there's generally survey fatigue.
Mhm.
I get a survey from every brand I ever interact with or
Yeah.
drop out of a shopping cart with, or whatever, and so at a certain point, I think, somewhat to your point, we're getting a low response rate because people are just getting inundated with surveys. But if you
Yeah.
have all these leading indicators pointing to maybe the few that do fill out the surveys compared to the whole, that's great. I look at it as like forensics, right? I think you're
Yes.
describing the same as like, okay,
Yep.
we think we're onto something, or we're not, prove it one way or the other, but like, let the leading indicators and all of this data that we have across the entire journey, we're asking a survey at the end of a process. A lot happened during that process. Let's use indicators like you're talking about to figure out, okay, well, what went right, but also what might have gone wrong, right?
Right. Exactly. And to your point, oftentimes people who do fill out surveys are potentially the vocal minority.
Right.
You know,
Right.
the same sentiment for all. And you're right. I mean, I think it takes like a Starbucks gift card to get people to fill out a survey these days. It's
Right.
not
Right.
easy.
Right. Exactly. Well, Asim, thanks so much for joining. I have one last question for you before we wrap up, and you've given a lot of great advice already. But for those organizations out there that they know they need to get a better handle on this channel switching, cross-channel consumer, and what's a way for them to get started in doing that?
Yeah. I would say, first of all, don't sit still.
Yeah.
You can't sit still because your competition is likely already on this. There's
Yeah.
a lot of technology and there's a lot of tools out there that you can use. And so start doing some research and see, depending on your type of business and what you're trying to do, if it's in the digital realm, take a look and do some research and do some searching. And you'll find that there are a lot of platforms out there that can help you look at all the different engagement channels with your customers and derive, a lot of the insights that we just talked about. This is mainstream now. And so what we're talking about really, and on the forefront of this is really and what we started the conversation around was AI and where do we take it next and how to
Okay.
improve upon it. But the fundamentals of being able to understand your customers and all their touch points with you and correlate what's going on and derive some really measurable insights from it, that's happening now,
Yeah.
and you can address it.
Wonderful. Well, again, I'd like to thank Asim Zaheer, Chief Marketing Officer at Glassbox, for joining the show. You can learn more about Asim and Glassbox by following the links in the show notes. Thanks again for listening to the Agile Brand with Greg Kihlstrom podcast, brought to you by Tech Systems. If you enjoyed the show, please take a minute to subscribe on your podcast channel of choice and leave us a rating so that others can find the show more easily. You can access more episodes of the show at www.gregkihlstrom.com. That's GREGKIHLSTROM.com. To get a copy of my latest book, House of the Customer, visit my website, or you can find it on Amazon or other retailers. The Agile brand is produced by Missing Link, a Latina-owned, strategy-driven, creatively fueled production co-op. From ideation to creation, they craft human connections through intelligent, engaging, and informative content. Until next time, stay agile.